And here we are. We are live. Shane McLean.
Let's
You
go.
think in the fitness industry, you'd go with you'd lean into the McLean. So you're lean, personal training, lean, but no, McLean. That's the proper pronunciation. Joining us from Louisiana. Yes?
Yes, that's right, Louisiana.
Where in Louisiana exactly again?
We're in North Louisiana.
Okay.
Long way away from New Orleans.
Are you? What's the next state? Is that Georgia, Bama?
Oh no, we're right. We're in the Architects, so we're right on the border of Arkansas and Texas.
Oh, okay. So like northwest.
A little bit, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes, northwest. Yes.
Northwest.
Yeah, northwest. Yeah.
And for anyone who doesn't follow Shane, he is an Australian, so I got to play this song. He's gonna do his dance. That's it. Before we get sued, if you don't recognize it,
don't make me sing. Your audience will tune out like right away.
And I'll give Shane credit as we become kind of friends on this virtual platform. We never met in person, but he sent one of the best birthdays. And I think you did clarify this for me. It's not. Is it a traditional Australian birthday song, or is it something?
Yeah. Well, I like to claim it as traditional Australian birthday song. Yeah. Again, I'm not going to sing it online because I have a horrible singing voice and I don't want your audience to tune out. But I only reserve that for people I like.
I appreciate making the cut for that. Speaking of people you like, you've connected me through some of the articles. And for anyone who doesn't know Shane, he's a prolific author in the fitness industry, having written for many, many different publications. You want to rattle off some different websites?
Oh, wow. Let's go. So Barbend.
Yes.
Breaking Muscle.
Yes.
Muscle and Fitness. Garage Gym Reviews. And I've
is that the bald guy with the mustache? Garage Gym Reviews?
Yeah, Coop.
Yes.
Coop.
Yes.
Isn't he like he's like a YouTube star, right?
He is. I've definitely.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Garage Gym Reviews is interesting because it's owned by a mattress company.
Oh, I didn't know that. Is that Mattress Clarity?
No, it's called Pillar 4.
Ah.
The company's called Pillar 4. Yeah, so that's just one website. That's just one website that they run. So, but they're huge. The whole thing is on YouTube and their website. They have like a Facebook, Instagram, but it's not as big. But their big thing is Coop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And every Garage Gym Reviews, it's like, do you know Coop? Oh.
Yeah.
No, that not Coop.
Well, we just moved into our house, and I'm trying to set the garage up, and I'm definitely checking his channel out hardcore right now to figure out what are the best options and purchases to make with all that. Obviously, I have a lot of my own experience with it, but yeah, I do appreciate that. So I'm gonna check out which articles you threw on there. Any other websites you want to shout out that you've written for?
Well, for those who might know Tony Gennacore, I've been on his website a fair bit. I've also ghostwritten some articles for, is it Elite FTS? Is it? Yeah, that big meathead website. So I've ghostwritten some articles for them too. So yeah, I've been around a bit.
Yeah.
Very fortunate.
Yes, sir. And you're wearing that Maui athletic shirt. That is Dr. Alan Bacon, PhD, I believe. He was on episode 100.
Dental surgeon.
Dental surgeon, but yes, not a PhD. Yeah. Does Andrew Coates have a PhD? Someone has a PhD.
No, Alan Bacon has a PhD, but he got it in dental surgery.
Yes. I knew there was a PhD in there somewhere. So this is episode 122 of my lovely show, Bo Knows Health. Alan Bacon was episode 108. Andrew Coates back to number 78. And Jason Lenart's number 95. All people that Shane here has connected me with. So if you guys enjoyed any of those episodes, we have Shane to thank for that. And I asked you to jump on quite a while ago. And,
you did, and I ignored you. No, that's not true. You know that's not true. But yes, you did ask me to jump on a little while ago. and then you moved, and life
Part of
caught up,
it.
and you had a baby.
Yeah.
And so life has changed for the better. And then I eventually pulled my finger out of my butt and said, "Let's do this."
Is that an Australian idiom?
Probably.
I want to point out the Australian jokes. So you just had your birthday a week or two ago, and
that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. We won't say what number it is. Just
that's
say
fine. That's fine.
20,
But
21 plus 10.
Do you go to Outback Steakhouse every year?
Here's the story, right? So I've been going to Outback Steakhouse for like 15 years. And in that time of going to Outback Steakhouse on my birthday every year for 15 years, only one waiter has recognized my Australian accent.
Only one.
And I find that disappointing because all they have to do is say, "Hey, you're Australian." And I go, "Here's a great tip for you there. Thank you very much." But they can't even do that. So every year I post something on Facebook saying, "Went to Outback Steakhouse. They didn't recognize the Australian accent. Boo."
Boo.
They think I'm faking it.
Yes.
And everyone thinks, "Oh, that's really funny." But I've been doing the same joke for 15 years.
How do you like, as an Australian, I guess you like the food? It's not authentic Australian.
Really, it's not really Australian. I just go there because it's called Outback Steakhouse.
That's
right.
it.
Yeah.
That's enough to get you there.
I like to do that silly joke every year on Facebook. People get a real kick out of it. So, yeah.
I found it funny that I wanted to ask you about it a little more in depth. So thank you for clarifying. Australia and New Zealand are both very high on my list of bucket list places to visit before, in the near future, hopefully. But so definitely we'll have to circle back, get all the places to go when that time comes. But let's talk fitness. So you're so prolific author again. I think that most people in the industry have probably seen your name or read one of your articles because you have so many articles out there. You've been nice enough to ask me to contribute from time to time. I do appreciate that.
You're an author in your own right. Just like to point that out to the audience. You're not just a physical therapist.
Just a physio.
No, not just. You wear many hats, but you're also an author, and you've also written for Bar Ben. And that's how we originally connected, because you liked one of my articles that I wrote.
I did.
Nick English.
Yes, another
Australian
connection, another Australian.
He reached out to me and he said, "Guess what? Dr. Bo really, really likes this article." And I'm like, "Awesome! One person read it. Let's go."
The one person.
That's how we connected.
There you go. And just thinking back, actually, I do have to say you are not the first Australian on here. I did have one of my clients, online virtual clients, Mali, not Mali, which I called him for a long time until I had him on my podcast and he corrected me that it's actually pronounced Mali. It's spelled like Bali, but yes. So he's a great guy that I helped. Was lucky enough to help get him out of a lot of knee pain. After being a pretty high level competitor. But yes, anyone wants to go check that out. I don't even know what number that is off the top of my head. It was in the first 20 though. He was one of my first guests on here, but you're not the first Australian. I'm sorry.
Okay, but I might be the best though.
We'll have to compare. People have to listen to the two side by side simultaneously. But so talking about the fitness industry, just want to get your sense. My other podcast, the Man Better podcast, with my buddy, I was going to say Shane McLean, but my buddy David Corona, back in New York City, and we're launching season 2 of that, guys, and looking forward to that. But our very first episode was the Man Better from personal trainers, and our goal there is to be a consumer's guide to the fitness and healthcare industry. Our second episode was the Man Better from physical therapists. So, question for you here becomes, what advice would you have to a consumer of personal training? You also have your own personal training studio there in Louisiana. Okay. What advice would you have to somebody seeking a personal trainer?
It's funny because, one of my clients' husbands started up a flight school. He's a certified pilot. He's former Air Force, and we were talking about how you want your flight instructor to look. And I said that if I was going to take airplane lessons, I want my flight instructor to have a few wrinkles and a few gray hairs because it signifies they've got the experience. Maybe not with your personal trainer, but with the gray hair and wrinkles. But I think you're definitely looking. I mean, I think experience is a huge factor. Just how many years you've been doing it. You know that everyone has to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. Obviously, when it comes to personal training, I did. Everybody else did. But if you're seriously looking for a trainer, obviously the best place to look is not on social media. Of course, you can do your research on social media, but if you're only basing your decision to hire a personal trainer on their videos they post on YouTube or what have you, then that mightn't be the best idea. You really have to do your due diligence. But I'd say the biggest factor, because I've been doing it for like 13 years, and I'm obviously better than my first year. So I'd say the biggest factor is definitely experience when it comes to hiring a personal trainer. Not that hiring someone without experience is bad, but you probably, when you're making such a significant investment in your health, best to go with somebody with experience.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that again, that's my opinion.
Simple.
Might be everybody else's.
Yeah, and I'll ask then, I'll push back on that. It tends to be, and I don't know if you would agree with this, observational correlation that the folks who have more experience are probably going to charge more money because they probably put a lot more time in their education. They have the confidence. They've probably, again, over years said, oh, you started out charging $50 or whatever a session. Now we're up to $250 a session, something like that. Yeah. So when somebody sees that, where can we get a little more in the gray of that to say, again, obviously what's within your budget? When people are offering discounts, is that a red flag for you? Yellow flag? It just is what it is. Any insights on the financial piece? Because again, like you said, this is a huge investment in your health. Folks tend to, I think, in my experience, and disagree with me if you feel differently, but folks tend to not put as much thought into these things as we'd probably like them to put in. So that's why we're having these conversations. And a lot of times it's like, oh, well, hey, I belong to Equinox. Hey, Equinox, I want to lose 15 pounds. I want to gain a little muscle. Who do you got for me? Oh, Shane's the man. Let's send you to Shane. Give me a little more nuance than that, maybe that you think people should go in with that mindset.
Well, isn't there an old saying that you get what you pay for?
That is a saying, yes.
Right. But I mean, I think personal trainers are not plumbers. So I think charging over $100 a session is a little, no, I wouldn't do that. I mean, in my gym, because I have such a low overhead, I'm able to keep my prices on the low end. I could probably definitely charge more. But yes, I mean, price is always a consideration. I think when you're hiring a trainer in a gym, obviously the gym's taken a cut. So whether it's when I worked in the commercial gym, it was a 50-50 split. So there is that. But yes, definitely price is a consideration, and you do get what you pay for. But I would. Yeah, I wouldn't pay more than $100 an hour for a personal trainer. But that's just me. I keep my sessions around $60 to $80 for the hour. Again, because I have low overheads, and I live in a small country town, so not everyone's flush with cash.
Yeah.
But that just obviously that depends on where you are in a big city or what have you. But if if all you're competing with is on price, then you're in trouble, right?
Very true.
The race to the bottom is always there, right?
Yeah. So along those lines, with some of the trends you've seen, and being again kind of on that inside track, talking to some of the top influencers in the space, and I don't mean that to say the ones who have the biggest social media followings, but guys like Tony Gentlecore and Alan Bacon, shirt you're wearing there. And Tony was supposed to be on this pod right before you. We had a little travel conflict things, but hopefully we'll get him on soon. But yeah, with all that,
he swears a lot. Just be warned.
I know he also listens to hardcore rap in his gym, which
Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang, yeah. Random funny story. I had a patient a few days ago. She plays in the Denver Philharmonic, and they were doing a collaboration with the RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. So he wrote like a ballet, and needed the Philharmonic to provide the score for the ballet that he wrote. So it sounded like it was an interesting time. I'm sure Tony will appreciate that story.
That's amazing.
But all that said, the question becomes, with what you've noticed in the fitness industry, tell me one thing you're liking about where the fitness industry is going, and one thing you are still annoyed about in the fitness industry. Your choice.
Okay, so the great thing and the worst thing about the fitness industry is the low entry point, the low barrier point, right? So you can get certified in 10 days to be a personal trainer, right? So that's great because it makes it accessible for a lot of people to become a personal trainer. And that's not so great because then you get people who probably are focusing on the money and not the person. So that's probably the greatest thing and the worst thing about the fitness industry is its low barrier point. Me personally, I did the ACE, American Council of Exercise certification, and it was a stay-at-home study course, which was great because I was able to go at my own pace. But there was no practical. So I was all theory and no practice. When I first started, I had to get one of the trainers in the gym to show me how to squat. To show me how to squat properly.
Yeah.
So it's not perfect. Right. Obviously, it's a little bit better now. I think really now, like yourself, being a physical therapist, now you have to wear many hats to survive. You can't. It's just not about X's and O's anymore, right? It's really, really not. So all that behavioral psychology and obviously nutrition, it all comes under that same umbrella. When I first came in, it was just all X's and O's, and I got that. I've struggled to keep up with how it's changing, and because a lot of, probably not yourself, but I think a lot of personal trainers come in thinking, well, I really, really like exercise, and so when my clients come in, they'll really, really like exercise as well. They don't. Newsflash. Clients don't really like to exercise. So the real challenge and the real skill when you're becoming a fitness professional is getting someone to do what they don't like. Pretty much. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I've really struggled with. And I think that's when I mentioned the experience factor. That's when the experience factor really, really kicks in, because you've been there so many times that you basically have to find the right buttons to push to get your clients moving.
Yeah. Yeah. Dr. Alan Bacon talked about self-determination theory, I believe. So he gets into a little bit of that. Have you used any other resources in terms of, obviously the experience helps, but have you done any outside, or do you have any books to recommend, anything like that, in terms of outside of, again, just interacting with humans and saying, hey, like, how do I get this person who's not motivated? Oh, there's the cat making an appearance. behind
his
him?
his name is Chase. So like a cat has a phobia about closed doors. So if I was to close this door and have a private conversation with you, he would be sitting there meowing at the door.
Yeah.
That would interrupt our flow. So basically he's going to come in and interrupt our flow right now.
That's fine. Yeah, I just heard my dog get up and grab some water. She's having a lazy day, which is okay. We'll go for a walk as soon as we're done here. Lexi will go for a walk. I'm promising.
So to answer your question, no, I haven't really read anything on. I mean, my wife has got a degree in psychology, and she used to there's Lexi, and she used to teach it at community college.
Mm-hmm.
So she's practiced on me a fair bit and manipulated me a lot, like wives do in a marriage. So no, not necessarily read anything, just through experience.
Yeah.
I mean, being a physical therapist, that every individual is different. Every individual might come with you with the same set of symptoms, but they're different lifestyle, different stresses, different this, different that. So, it's really just I have a term, and it's like in airplanes. Like I like to throw a lot of mud on the wall and see what sticks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not afraid to try something, and if it doesn't work, I'll move on. But I make the client aware that, hey, this might work, this might not work. We'll see what works for you, and then go from there. But yeah, it's a lot of trying and failing, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
so that was kind of a
bit. Yeah, I failed a lot too.
Yeah, that's kind of the road to success. What's the quote? I haven't failed 9,999 times, or I haven't failed 10,000 times, or if you succeed on the 10,000th time.
The light bulb.
Yeah, yes, you didn't fail 9,999 times. You found 9,999 ways that it didn't work.
It didn't work.
And then it led you to the 10,000th, which did work. But yes, that's how we got the light bulb, folks. Thank you, Thomas Edison.
So no, I wish I could espouse some wisdom on behavioral psychology, but I can't.
Well, again, it doesn't have to be formal. Having 13 plus years of experience, and that's why I want to see what we can synthesize from all the articles you put together. Because again, it was genuine in that. Wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. He knows where he's coming from. He's definitely espousing some wisdom with the article. So clearly something has brought us to a good place. Is it just surrounding yourself and connecting with a lot of whining over there, connecting with a lot of the top folks in the industry? Again, and I know there's other podcasts if you want to talk a little bit about how you even got into that space of writing with some of these big names and just continuing that success. And is it just coming down to pursuing excellence? Like, what do you attribute where you've gotten in the space?
With the writing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think one complements the other. So what I do in the gym complements my writing, and what I do with my writing complements what I do in the gym. I've written a blog for, I don't know, maybe 8-9 years. I publish a blog post every Monday. And I think what writing allows me to do is to organize my thoughts better.
Mm-hmm.
And how that relates to my client in the gym is that when the client asks a question, I'm able to answer it better because that thought has already been organized. In terms of writing, I just got lucky. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not quite sure how you started, but I reached out to Nick English on Twitter and said, hey, I write for Tony. Can I write for Barband? And he said, come on, let's go.
That's awesome.
So I looked at writing as one way was to get more clients, and two was like another source of income. I didn't set out to write for all these websites so I would be famous or well known or anything like that. It was just to provide another source of income for my family. And lucky enough, I'm good at it.
Yeah.
But that's because I do it. I do it a lot. As you know, I've written a lot of articles. I do it a lot. And so it's just, again, I think I just got lucky. I really, really did. And in today's information age, people just want so much content. It's just the need for it is never ending, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. So I think, like actors with all these streaming services and stuff, it's like a golden age to be an actor because there's all those streaming services. It's like if you're in fitness and you can put a sentence together, you're in luck. If you're good, obviously if you're good enough, yeah.
Yeah, and would you say all the reps are you able to reflect on that, build on that? Do you feel like every 20 articles you make a little leap forward in your skill set, or are you open to that feedback? You want anyone listening here, go read an article, tell Shane what's wrong with it? Is that what we're opening up?
Yeah, well, your primary source of feedback when it comes to whether you're any good or not, particularly with a writer, is your editor, right? So I've worked with a lot of editors. So they usually tell me if it's good or bad, and whether I have to go back to the drawing board. But with a lot of websites that I've written for these days, it's very much plug and play. So they give you what to write, they give you the headlines, and it's all SEO friendly. So basically, it's almost the format and the SEO score is almost more important than what you write.
Right.
So that's been my experience. So when Andrew Gutman took over the editor-in-chief at Barband, he redid everything. And so basically, Barband is probably like the McDonald's of fitness. You go into McDonald's and you know what you're going to get. When you click on Barband, it's the same thing. You know what you're going to get. It's lists, it's headlines, it's this, it's that. It's all broken up for the reader. It's all SEO friendly. And I think that takes. It took me a while to get used to it. But it's definitely a skill. If you're a fitness writer or want to be a fitness writer, you have to learn to write for Google. for a lack of better term. Me personally, I like to be personable. I think we as trainers and coaches, we know our X's and O's and we know all the fancy words. People who read don't. They don't know it. So trying to say something as clearly and simply as possible is better. Right. And that's probably something I've gotten better at over the time of writing, is just to write it simpler.
Yeah.
Then go back and do it again. Fancy terms are great. It shows how smart you are. And sometimes it's required, but most of the time it's not.
If you can't explain it to a 10-year-old, then you need to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, well, there was I think there was an Albert Einstein quote. It just said, if you can't explain it simply, then you have gaps in your knowledge, and you need to go back and you need to learn it again.
Right. Yeah. And unfortunately, there are very complicated topics that people geek out on, and that is part of the learning curve, is like, how much do you need to know about the physiology? Like, I do dry needling here, and I can tell people, hey, like, this will make your shoulder feel better. And then if they ask me, well, what is it actually doing? Like, well, how much time do you got? But it's the fancy term there, real quick, is it's resetting the neuromuscular junction, and how much more depth do we want to go than that? At the end of the day, I've definitely found some different ways, I think, that help us explain that. But at the end of the day, if it's helping you feel better, that's really the important thing. So that's where it comes back to that buy-in, and being able to connect with the person in front of you in many of those ways.
Yeah, I feel. I mean, obviously, I write a lot of fitness content, and I read a lot as well. And my main bone to pick with people who write is they're smart, they know how to write, they express themselves well, but they don't really tell the reader what to do. They don't provide actionable content. So, like, do this, how to put it into like a superset, or even just basic type of stuff. I feel a lot of fitness content, it just doesn't do that. And so you read it and then you go, well, what am I going to do with this? How's this going to make me better? So I think not only do you have to tell the reader, but you also have to show them as well, because you really just don't want to waste the reader's time. That's my main thing when I write something. Is that if I waste the reader's time, then this is pointless, right? You can't waste their time. Time is valuable. Attention spans are short. So you really got to grab the reader's attention, and you also got to not only just show them what to do, you got to tell them what to do too, so they can read the article and go, okay, I can do that. I can go to the gym and I can do that.
And I'll admit I fall into that trap as well, because when you ask me to contribute and you give me, what's the best whatever shoulder thing people aren't doing, accessory, whatever the topic is, and I'm like, well, I think it's this, Cuban press or something, then I'll go deep into it, and then you always add in, then like you'll send me back, hey, so like, how do people incorporate this? You put that in originally, but it definitely is. I'll admit I fall into that trap, because
I think that's that's not just my thing, but that's one of the reasons I try and not only tell them what to do, but show them what to do, so you feel they haven't wasted their time.
Yeah, it makes sense, and I think it definitely translates well to more actionable, more something to come back to. You see the same thing with Instagram and TikTok, and those, when people are saving your videos, that actually helps the algorithm, because there's something in there. Oh, like, I need to see, these are the 3 steps I need to do, or whatever. Oh, that's how I'm going to fix back pain. And again, there's all the ways to manipulate the SEO and algorithm, but at the end of the day, there's a reason for that, right? So it's what people actually are going to take away, and you're giving out free advice. And I can't tell you how many times, I'm sure it's even a fraction of the reality, where people come up to me and meet me at a party or something, and kind of probably known each other for some time, and say, hey, I've been doing that thing you put in that, you were wearing a yellow shirt in the garage, and I've been doing that thing, and it's fixed my back. And like, I never got a penny for fixing that person's back, and it probably saved them thousands of dollars in however much time. And that's not the point. That's why we do it. It's like, hey, that made my day. Thank you for sharing that. That helped you. Like, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and taking the time to put out something here and there, and try to stay consistent with it. Obviously, if it helps my business, great. If not, hopefully we're making some of that impact on human lives.
Yeah, that's true. And like, I also want to add, but I think what you were going on with before, with the dry needling and the explanation for it, and I think being a personal trainer, it's like, if you can't explain why an exercise or why you're doing something to the client, if you can't explain it, then what's the point?
Right.
So you basically, like I said, with actionable content in an article, the client in front of you needs to know the reasons behind why we're doing it. And if you haven't got the reason why you're doing it, then you probably shouldn't be in business.
There you go.
Again, that's when the experience comes in.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask a 21-year-old trainer, why is this exercise in there? They're probably not going to give you a really good explanation. It's going to make you lose fat. Or something like that. I don't know, but I think again that comes with experience.
Mm-hmm.
With the X's and O's, when they push back and go, what's the point of this? This is the point. This is why we're doing it, and you're going to do it whether you like it or not. So
there you go.
There you go.
There you go. Simple. Yeah. And I mean, I'll throw in something I love to talk about is the concept. I'm not sure if you're actually familiar with this model called evidence-based practice. I'm sure you're familiar with the term. Yeah, I don't know if you know do you know the good definition of that? By Sackett is in the research. A researcher talked about the tripod of evidence-based practice. 1/3 of that stool, and we need all three, is what the research actually says. So again, why am I doing this variation on the squat? It'll make your quads and make your VMO pop off or whatever. But we can go a little further than that. So what does the research actually say about dry needling or types of squats? What does the clinician experience, personal trainer, physical therapist, whoever the clinician is, what is your experience? Oh, I've been working for 13 years like Shane, and I've seen XYZ, and I find that when people combine this exercise with that exercise and they stay consistent with it, then they get to the goal we're talking about. And then the third part of that tripod is the client expectation. So if they're just totally open, I just need to lose weight, I don't care about the science or whatever, then maybe they're not the one that needs that exercise, or they're not going to do that exercise. If I just want to lose weight. Okay, cool. Well, let's figure out how to put all these pieces together and still get you the results you're looking for the right way, hopefully. But yeah, it's a fascinating exploration. I love exploring these topics. Yeah, man. Any other closing thoughts on the fitness industry? I want to let you go. Respect your time and the listeners' time. I thank everyone for being here. But any closing thoughts on the fitness industry? What you're seeing? What you're not seeing? Anything in there?
Well, I think there's probably more personal trainers and physical therapists, and there's been more information than ever before. Good information, bad information. So I feel that if people who are watching this and people who read fitness content have got to keep an open mind and question everything, for one. Just because it works for one person doesn't mean it'll work for another. I think there's a lot of either or not just only in the fitness industry, but in life. It's either this or it's that. You're either squat or you deadlift. There's not both. I feel that people get trapped in that either or thinking with their health and fitness, and they shouldn't. They really, really shouldn't, because a lot of things work. It's just a matter of consistency. So I think there's a lot of fitness professionals that preach the either or scenario all the time to get eyeballs on their work, to create controversy, to do this, to do that, to get more clients. And to me, that's just the wrong way to go about it. There's so many different ways that work for everybody. I think a lot of people just lack the patience to find out really what works for them. And that's where the magic is really finding what works for you. Me personally, I'm not for everybody. And I'd say I'm not for athletes. I don't Olympic lift. I have no idea about anything like that. I stick to my particular skill set. So, but that doesn't mean I don't believe that other things work. My way works, your way works, right? We go about things a different way. It's not an either or thing. You're not the best, I'm not the best. We can both exist. And I think that getting trapped in that either or thinking, that happens a lot, particularly with politics, but also in the fitness industry. I think it's really, really wise to snap out of that way of thinking and to have more of an open mind.
Amen. I agree, my dude. Well, tell folks where they can find you. Shout out if you're in person, if you're in the Northwest Louisiana corner, they can come see you in person.
Okay, so my website is balanceguidetraining.com. On Instagram, Outback Performance Center, and on Facebook, it's Shane.McLean.18 on Facebook. I'm also on YouTube under Outback Performance Center as well.
And I'll have you send me all those links, and I'll put them in the show notes, and folks can find them.
And you can find my stuff on Breaking Muscle and Bar Band and Garage Gym Reviews and all those cool places.
Prolific author. Prolific.
Thank you.
Prolific. So it was great to finally get you on here, buddy. And yeah, looking forward to our next chat.
Thank you.
And I hope everyone got at least 1% better today. As I always say, with that, we bid you adieu.